I love your description of the difference between vegan and plant-based. Let me tell the listeners what your take on that is.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, we have to understand that veganism is an ethic, first and foremost. It is refraining from utilizing any kind of animal products, whether it be for food, consumer goods, clothing, etc., etc. Now, if someone for the majority of people who kind of adopt that more of an ethical standpoint, and I've got obviously respect for people who do that, provided that they don't, push it in people's faces. I think we do have to remember that they may not be considering optimizing their diet as a part of that. They might just think, I'm going to just remove animal products from my plate and remove animal products from my shoes and things like that. And I'm happy to go ahead and survive on, Oreos or, vegan nuggets or all these other processed, replacement foods that we're seeing nowadays. There's nothing wrong with that. If people want to do that, that's fine. But as I said, being vegan tells me what you don't eat. But being plant-based, whole food plant-based as we call it, tells me what you do eat. That tells me that you're prioritizing, removing animal products from a perspective of trying to optimize your health. And that would include a variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes. Those are the foods that you're going to be prioritizing every single day. And you can add like mushrooms in there and a few other bits as well. So I think if someone tells me that they're plant-based and they focus on the health side of things, and it could be an extension of their ethics. I know that, many people who are ethical vegans but eat a whole food plant-based diet. So that's very clear in terms of how they want to do both sides of things, and I think that's great. I do worry sometimes for the people who are just primarily vegan, who maybe aren't, they remove meat from their plate and automatically think that that's the job done. Of course, from an ethical standpoint, that's they're serving themselves well, but from a nutritional standpoint, because you also have to look after yourself, in my opinion, I think it's a really good idea to be a healthy advocate and a healthy champion for your cause. You wonder if you're, Oreos and all these different foods, which are technically animal free, but are devoid of any nutrition. So there can be a big difference between the two. And I guess it's just a case of how people approach it, really. Well, this is the thing. I think that is often the case where, someone decides to shift to a plant-based diet and they might be eating some of these meat alternatives. People might start to think, it's just all vegans eat is junk food. And I think the reason why that perspective or that perception exists is because of the aggressive marketing of a lot of these, vegan replacement meat products. Like if you go on the underground in London, for example, you'll see adverts for, this is bacon, some vegan bacon, and you'll see adverts for these other Impossible burgers and all of this other stuff. And what that's doing is it's kind of building the picture that anyone who decides to go vegan is going to eat these foods and these foods only. And a lot of people do. And I don't think that's a very good strategy, because the likelihood is that you're not really going to get the key nutrients that you do need to actually feel any kind of, to feel decent on a plant-based diet. And then you might end up just going, I'm just going to go back to what I felt was, normal for me. So that's really it. And I think one of the things is that people need to understand is that it's going to become over the years, as all these more meat products come out, or more meat alternative products come out, and all these other vegan replacement foods come out, it's actually going to be, if you're not aware and if you don't have the discernment, it's actually going to be quite difficult to become or to be a healthy vegan, particularly if you're starting out, because you're just going to be bombarded with, eat this bacon, or do this vegan chicken, or whatever it may be. So for me, I think the best way to do a diet that's free from animal products is to focus on the whole foods. Be a healthy champion of the cause. Even if you are someone doing it from a primarily ethical standpoint, you're going to feel great. And actually, what you're going to do is you're going to radiate a certain, you might not want to radiate a certain level of health, but naturally, if you're going to start to speak about something that you're passionate about, you also want to radiate that as well, because it's one thing to speak about something, but if you actually look the part, if you actually, are the example of what you're demonstrating, then people are more likely to maybe listen to you. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that will be done if you focus on the whole foods, the fruits, getting the vegetables in, nuts and seeds, whole grains, legumes. Like, these are foods that are going to provide you with a ton of nutrients, and different ways to find, different ways to get used to cooking as well. So, and again, that's one thing that I was never a cook before I went plant-based, and now I'm creating all these recipes, which is crazy. So
if someone, I mean, obviously we've got Veganuary, and a lot of the trouble is with that, it's great because it makes people think, but again, a lot of people will reach for the convenience.
Yeah.
If someone was really thinking, right, whether for ethical reasons, for health reasons, whatever reason it might be, I really want to get into this, where would you suggest they start?
I would suggest that they start, because I don't think many people will be able to go cold turkey like I did. I think that's that's a big ask for a lot of people. I would say focus on one meal and getting that done in a whole food fashion. So even, for example, something like breakfast, oatmeal is one of the easiest things that you can do, one of the most nutritious, if it's prepared properly, of course, and you go for maybe like organic or even sprouted oats if you can. And adding just so many different toppings like the pumpkin seeds, the hemp seeds, blueberries, which we all know are super beneficial for your brain and inflammation. And just make that a habit. See if you can perfect that, get that down to a T, and then maybe get 2 or 3 others kind of easy recipes under your belt. Maybe utilizing foods that you've kind of experienced with before. And then trying to just kind of incorporate them into different recipes and using the inspiration that's out there on social media. And also say that one of the biggest and most important things is to just accept that it's not going to be a lifestyle that's going to cater to convenience. If you want to do it properly and if you want to do it well and thrive, you have to get used to cooking. You have to get accustomed to the fact that you'll be cooking a lot more than you ever really would. But what that will do in turn is that will bring you closer to your food. I think cooking is one of the most powerful things that you can do. It's right, I'm taking control of everything that's going onto this, into this chopping board, into that frying pan, and then onto my plate, and then into my body. What's in there. And there's something really, really powerful about that. So I think that's really important that people understand that cooking is really the way forward. And you say Veganuary is great and all that. I do, I've been making some recipes for Veganuary, but there's something about the process side of things which makes people get a lot of value out of that. I was having a chat with someone who mentioned that they had a friend who was, what was happening. They said something along the lines of they wanted to replace their breakfast, their typical egg and bacon, and they went for vegan versions, and it was disgusting. And I was just like, you're actually probably better off eating the normal eggs to go for vegan eggs. Like, you got to change it up. You got to do whether it's a scrambled tofu or some kind of sourdough with avocado and broccoli sprouts or whatever, oatmeal or a smoothie. There's so many healthy vegan breakfast options. You don't need to go for these these vegan bacon and all this kind of stuff. It's just, for me, it's like, I understand why they're doing it. I get it, but for the long term, if you want to do this even beyond January and actually be healthy and thrive, I just don't see where the value long term in these foods is.